Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Grant. I'm going to be starting my first live stream, one of 3 for the final project in digital communication. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how to connect your guitar to an audio interface and make it work in a digital audio workstation. So what I've got going here is an application called Reaper. It's been something that I've used ever since I started really playing guitar. And what you can do in here, you can do anything in a DAW like Reaper. You can record your guitar tracks, you can record any sort of instrument you want, and you can insert media files like drum tracks in my case, and yeah, you can do a whole lot of mixing and producing on here. It's just a really great DAW, and it's also only $60 in comparison to some other ones like FL Studio. That's a pretty popular one. That's a little bit more expensive, and I use that one too, but Reaper's really good for stuff like instrument recording. I just find that that's the DAW that I like to use for that sort of thing. So today we're going to go over how to connect something like a guitar to your audio interface, which if you don't know what an audio interface is, that is my Focusrite audio interface, and as you can see, the guitar cord is connected right there. So how that works is you just plug in your instrument as such, and you run the cable into the slot, the front slot in your audio interface, and then after that you can open up your DAW. And I've already got a track going, so if you were to open up your own, obviously it would be blank. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you're connecting your instrument is you're going to want to go to the preferences or audio options part of your DAW. So we're going to go look at that. So right here, this is how mine is hooked up. The audio driver for my interface is this right here, and here's the name of it. Here's the name of my device. And so there's actually 2 inputs on mine for instruments, and one of them is for like microphones and the other one is for instruments. So I've got mine set on 2. So after you're done with that, you might have to adjust the buffering, the buffer size, and the sample rate, and so that can get a little confusing. That just takes time, but in general you're going to want to go as low as you can on the buffer size. I don't remember where mine's at here, but I have mine set at 256, and that seems to work well for me. There's not a whole lot of latency, because you will find that when you're setting up your guitar in a DAW or any sort of instrument, there is some latency that you just have to work on and get it to your liking. So first, I'm going to show you how I set up my guitar tracks. What you're going to do in this DAW specifically is you're going to want to double click on the side here, and so when you have this, you're going to want to arm it. So that makes it so your instrument is what we call monitoring, where you can hear everything that you've got going on before you start recording it. So since my input is on number 2, we're going to click on input 2, so you can start to kind of hear the guitar. I'm going to put my headphones on so I can hear it. Alright, so now we're all hooked up, and without any effects, that is what it sounds like. So in Reaper there's a lot of stock plugins, and a lot of them I use for mastering over here on the master track, but a lot of them I've also downloaded on my own. So one of my favorite guitar softwares is called Bias Effects 2, and that's right here. So once this loads up, I'll show you. So I've got a whole library of my own tones that I like to use. There's just a ton of them. I've got everything from clean tones to distortion tones for my guitar. And it's already set on the one that I'm using for this track specifically. So everything's all ready to go. And, you know, finding what works for you in terms of effects, it takes a while. But I keep my stuff pretty simple. I just use a noise gate, which is primarily just making it so you don't have a bunch of feedback coming out of your guitar like after you are done playing something. So here's with the gate, and then without the gate you got some feedback. So we're going to keep that on. And then this is like a stereo widener, and same with this one, so it really gives you that wide stereo effect with your guitar, which is what you hear on a lot of songs that have recorded guitar on them. So without it, you've got like just a really centered, not very like spatial sound. So when you turn them on, you can really hear the difference, and that's one of my favorite things to do with guitar effects. So we've also got a drum track in here up top from one of my favorite Meshuggah songs. So we're going to work with that in this series of live streams. For this live stream, I was just going to show you how to set everything up and get everything all ready to go. And it does take time to figure some things out. Like I remember when I first started doing this, it wasn't very easy for me because you really just got to figure everything out to your liking. So I'm just going to show you some of the effects that I have, and I hope that this doesn't blow your eardrums out when I take all the mastering effects off. So here's the drum track that we have without any sort of effects on it at all whatsoever. So it's pretty loud, it's a little distorted. So I've got all my effects on the master over here, which applies to everything. So the guitar is on its own with these effects right now, but when I turn on the master, it sounds a whole lot cleaner. And that just is due to like EQing and compressing, and if you don't know what that means, it's a lot of stuff, but we'll go over it. So right here in the master, I've got 2 compressors, actually 3. So this one is just a general compressor, general EQ for the whole master. And so there's a bunch of presets you can choose from. I like this one personally. And then for the compressor, I just chose a preset. I'm not huge on like trying to figure out how much compression I should use. I just do what sounds right to me. And then I've got a de-esser, which it takes out a lot of the higher frequencies, so it's not like hurting your ears. And then I've got another EQ. I just boosted the mids a tiny bit, so you can really hear the drums break through, especially the drums. I boosted the low end a little bit so you can get some bass. And then I also use what's called a limiter, which is like another compressor, but it makes it so your track isn't like too loud. Because if you can get limiting good, like if you can get a good level on limiting, it can really sound professional. I didn't use a limiter for a long time, and it kind of made me wonder what was wrong with like my mixes and stuff like that, and that's kind of what it was. And then I have an exciter, which also boosts the higher frequency so it sounds like really clean but not too crazy. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I've got. So again, let's run through the drum track without any mastering on it. And then with the master, it sounds just a whole lot cleaner, a lot more punchy. So there's all that. That's a lot of the effects that I'm using. I've found it, just to be a really good preset for both the guitar and the master. And for the drums, like I put a little bit on there. I put like a little EQ on there. I put like a bass enhancer on there. and another compressor. Not a heck of a lot for that. Just takes a lot of working with it to figure out what you like. So yeah, that was today's live stream, and the next live stream will go over like recording guitar tracks and mixing them. And then for the final one, we're going to go through and record a bunch of tracks and mix everything all together to make everything fit and glue together nicely. And we'll come out with the final product. So thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next stream.